All right, take it away, Secretary.
Good evening again, Rotarians, President Nakia. So this evening, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the brother of our president, Mr. Korey Rowe, and also Mr. Ricky Castro, who will be taking us through various presentations on wellness during this meeting. So Korey is a son of the soil and a UE Mona alumni who is now based in New York. He is a celebrity personal trainer and the head of virtual training at the Dogpound. The Dogpound, which is an exclusive wellness brand favored among celebrities and influential professionals, with premium outposts in New York City and Los Angeles. Prior to his transition into the health and wellness arena, he had an illustrious career as an international supermodel, as he's the 2011 winner of the Fashion Face of the Caribbean competition conducted by Saints International. His decorated career includes his appearance on the cover and pages of the GQ magazine, Men's Health magazine, and America's Next Top Model, fitness and fragrance campaigns, among other premier entities in the fashion community. He considers his title and responsibility as a husband, son, brother, uncle, mentor, and friend to be his highest role and greatest purpose. I also have the pleasure of presenting Mr. Ricky Castro. Ricky is a strength and conditioning specialist who's worked with numerous professional athletes, worldwide celebrities, business experts across several industries, and more. He is also currently a semi-professional soccer player with former multi-collegiate, national, and school breaking records. He has extended his studies to trial methods on how to optimize the human body under high demands of stress. His goal is to show individuals the physiological and psychological edge to overcoming and conquering adversity. He believes every person can and should live their life to their fullest potential. Rotarians, please welcome Nakia's brother, Korey Rowe, and Ricky Castro. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Alicia. That was well said. Thank you, fellow Rotarians. Thank you, Nakia, the president at the moment, for having us here. It's a huge, huge privilege for us to be here, being, from the soil and knowing the impact that the Rotary Club has, within the country. It's a privilege that we are even considered to be here, especially at this unique time to talk about wellness and fitness. At this time, before we get into some stuff, Richie, take it away.
Thank you, my brother. I would also like to thank you guys for the opportunity. It means a lot to me. Before anything, Korey Rowe was introduced into my life a little over a year ago, and he's brought incredible value to my life, not just also in the wellness aspect of things that we'll be speaking today, but as a human being, in our Lord and our Savior, and ultimately just being a better human being inside, outside, wherever the community is. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity for him to present this to me. Thank you, President Nakia, for the opportunity as well. Super grateful to be speaking to you guys. And I'll do my best to throw some nice little tips towards you guys. And hopefully you take something away today. That's really things on my end. Before we kind of dive into it, things a little bit, obviously we know it's been one of the craziest times, but we've also managed to overcome this moment, and we're only getting stronger within every day. So one interesting fact that I was just looking up before we kind of get started is the fact that there was a few studies made between Australia the UK and the US, and they were comparing essentially during the pandemic, TV, right, watching TV, and then as far as viewership, and then physical exercise. And they noticed that there was a period when this whole thing started to go about, that physical exercise actually ended up going above and beyond the time that people were spending watching TV, which I think says a lot about the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So we're super excited. Incredible studies. There's a little bit more about it, but incredible studies that I was reading up on. And like I said, I hope some of the stuff that we introduced to you guys take something from it and begin to optimize your life a little bit more. So Korey, you can start on your end. Anything that you'd like to say as far as maybe personal experiences or anything within the field or during this time?
Yeah, well said. That's a very interesting fact. I didn't know that one, Richie. So thanks for putting that out there. It really says a lot about how resilient we are as human beings, and that we always rise to the challenge, adapt and to overcome. I think before just a scaffolding of some of the things that we want to touch on today, we really want to touch on goal setting for anyone. And I think what we'll be talking about, even though it's specifically around fitness, is definitely transferable to other areas that are outside of fitness. And I find like a good way to understand some of the content, if fitness is not necessarily your wheelhouse, even though it's important to all of us, is to really think about other areas that could be oblique or parallel to it that may help you to understand these principles that really transcend through all areas. So really we're talking about how can we set goals, fitness leading, because that is our wheelhouse and that is where our expertise lie. But then you can distill from it principles that you probably can use in other areas, because we want to talk about optimal performance, which is on the job in terms of how you're feeling, mental clarity, the type of energy you have, how vibrant you feel, how robust you feel to conduct whatever duties and responsibilities that you have. And your health and wellness is such a big part of that. I want to take it back to the beginning of the lockdown here in New York and really for the world, and how we saw it and went about it, and just some numbers, how we've been intimately involved with really helping persons throughout this period. Between Richie and I, we've had anywhere close to probably 15 hours of one-on-one training, helping persons from around the world. I would say we've touched all continents and some small islands, throughout that entire period. We've served in a live capacity, whether it is online platforms. I would say probably close to anywhere 20,000 persons who would have joined in, and we would have shared health and tips and wellness. And what we've seen from working so closely is that this period is such a big opportunity for persons to actually be healthier, like one of the stats that we should throw out, than they were leading into this period, because there is such a spotlight on health and wellness right now. Everyone understands more than ever how important it is to be healthy. And because of the scare and because of just the undeniable fact that we are going through a global pandemic, persons are now taking heart that we need to get in shape. Yes, it's not a cure or a preventative strategy, but we put ourselves in the best position to weather the storm in the worst case event and other lifestyle illnesses. So how we've gone about seeing it is that it doesn't have to be a scenario where you are now left handicapped. Persons want to know, how do I stay healthy? There are some persons who would have gained a few pounds here and there during the lockdown. The fridge is there. It's our best friend. We don't have anything to do. We're not seeing anyone. We're not going out. Why should we necessarily think about staying healthy? And I think helping persons identify a why that's bigger than just the topical stuff is a good way to go about like setting goals. We found that it's so important, whatever your fitness goal is, but it is just to stay healthy as you age for longevity, or you just are a high-powered professional and you really want to be sharp and to be mentally there, or you have more aesthetic or physical goals. It's so important that you're going to have a good way to go about setting that target. And then after setting that target, coming up with systems and habits and routines that will allow you to kind of weather the storm and weather the journey to that end result. So let's talk about, goals and goal setting and why some of the goals fail. What we will be talking about here in terms of tips is not novel information. If we take a quick scan and we ask persons what they think they need to do to be healthy, most persons can tell us off the bat. They can tell us that they need to eat well, they need to work out, they need to sleep, they need to hydrate, and they need to stay away from substances or food categories that we obviously know aren't good for us. But why then do most persons fail to do what is so obvious? And that's where it's not so obvious. And that's where most persons haven't really developed systems and habits and accountability community or accountability systems that helps them to remain consistent to do what they know they should be doing. And we want to share, just the simple tips that we've seen over training hundreds of people over thousands of hours over the course of our career of working with individuals in an intimate setting, what have worked for us personally, because we are not immune to the struggle that everyone else has. Even though we are fitness professionals, we don't always make the right decisions. We're not always on point and proud of our choices and our lifestyle, but we don't need to be perfect. We just need to be making progress, and we just need to be over that percentage that puts us in that healthy category. So whenever we do slip up, we're still in a position where we can be proud overall of how we are living our lifestyle. So systems, identifying a goal, I would say write it down. That's a good way to go about it. Make it concrete, make it something that is not just a passing thought where you just simply say it and, you forget about it. I would say definitely write it down so it can be crystallized, and then come up with systems. Some persons work out best, with friends. Now we're in the pandemic, so we don't necessarily have that. We found like online resources such as Zoom classes, or just finding space within your household. We can do a lot more than persons once thought. And even if it might not be the gym where you don't have equipment, this too shall pass. And there's so much that we can do at home. And Richie and I probably provide some resources that really show how we can prepare for when this is no more, that we're in a position where we would have set ourselves up to perform even better as we go into the gym. Richie, anything to add on to that?
No, I think it's some incredible stuff. There are some people who I think the idea of having a goal written down and being able to see it, like I know for me, for example, I have a whiteboard in my room, and my girlfriend is not too happy about it. But for me, the whiteboard is accountability, because I'm able to wake up every day, look at the whiteboard, see my goals, and it kind of gets me going for the day itself. So I do think it's a really good point to kind of have it set in stone. Even for me itself as well, I do vision boards. So for me, I'm more of a person who has to be able to see things. I'm very visual. So setting the goal is definitely part one of it. And we're going to continue to get into even deeper into it as far as the small steps that it requires, because it's much more than just seeing it. I myself, as a professional or as a semi-professional athlete, I have a sports psychologist. And one of the biggest things that we see within the field of athletes too is the idea of visualization.
Yeah.
It's not just visualizing where we want to be. It's a big part of it, because you have to believe and you have to be confident within the fact that you'll be there. But it's also the idea of working towards that goal, or towards that endpoint, quote unquote, right? So Korey's going to talk a little bit about how essentially we can continue to build a system in regards to getting to that goal in a manner that, like he just said, like us, we're not immune to it. So there are going to be some points and some times where you will essentially fail, but don't consider it a failure, right? It's just a learning lesson. That's why we have it as lessons, not losses. So
yeah,
feel free to hop into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to making making it simple. So it's not too complicated. Fitness and health, it should be normal and natural to us, even though, it sometimes we may have variance in terms of how we go about it, but ultimately we know what to do. As it relates to systems, it's making it easy for you to win. It's almost de-booby trapping your environment. So let's talk about nutrition, for example. If we know that we have stuff around the house that necessarily wouldn't work in our favor, whether it is be substances, alcohol, sugary drinks, or whatever the category, whatever your vice is, then the tendency is to want to always have those around, because those are the things that we enjoy. And it's just making the hard decision, because you have such a strong why and you know how important it is for you to be healthy, to remove those things. If they're not around, then you can't be tempted to have them. So it's the same idea of removing things that would wear down your willpower, and also to make it convenient and make it obvious. Like right now, yes, we don't have public facilities such as gyms that we can go to, But we in Jamaica, we can go outside, we can go for a walk. It's a lot freer than it is in most places, even though I understand that there's a curfew, but it's making it obvious to do what we need to do. An example of that is having your running shoe by the door the night before going to bed. So knowing that when you wake up in the morning, you've already kind of pre-paved the way to make a decision to go out for a run or a walk or however, whatever outdoor activity that you plan to do, you've kind of made that choice, committed to it, set yourself up from the night before. So in the morning, there's a cue to say, hey, I had committed yesterday. There's no reason for me not to do it. The shoe is already there. I'm reminded of my choice to stay committed to my health. Let's go. And some persons work better in a team. So it's sometimes having an accountability. I personally still have a group of friends that I start a WhatsApp group with or any sort of chat group, and they help to hold me accountable to the goals that I have. And it's a support group of sorts. There's strength in community and there's strength in numbers. The Rotary Club is a big example of what people coming together on a united vision can accomplish. And that united vision can be a personal vision. It could be something that's done in club. It could be something that's done with your friends, where you guys are all supporting and being the best cheerleaders. So those are on two things: coming up with support group and accountability. It's debunking your environment. And I use food as an example, but that could be anything that's a trigger for you. Do that, and you also make it convenient. Sometimes it's and so those are the three things for systems. And over time, those systems become habits. And if it's not on autopilot, you don't have to really worry about it being a willpower issue. Yeah.
Love that. I would just like to say one of the favorite lines that I took when I was training a professional athlete who plays here in the US was, during the pandemic, we ended up doing an event together for people to kind of join in and be part of it as part as growing a big community. And at the end, she had said, even, with the extra time that she had on her hands, because maybe she didn't have to commute anymore, and she didn't have to do certain things that were required at the time before. One of the lines that she had said is, I don't have to, for example, say you could take the time to maybe do a yoga class or start something new that you wanted to start. And we get to the idea of doing that thing. And again, we end up falling, right? But the idea that she had put in my head was, it's, even though you have the time, instead of saying that you have to do it, it's more along the lines of you get to do it. You know what I'm saying? So instead of saying to yourself, I just failed and I didn't get that 7-day streak that I wanted for the first week or so, it's the idea of getting your head a new perspective of saying, I get to do this. And once you make that shift in your head, everything else, like putting your shoes on to go ready for a run, just becomes that much easier, because you actually are given the opportunity to yourself to go do this task at hand, if that makes any sense. When it becomes more like a chore, it feels like a chore, and nobody wants to be doing chores. I know I never have. So it's a really good point there. And I want to follow it up. This is from a book that I read recently, and it said, the difference between the #1 ranked golfer and the number 10 golfer is an average of only 1.9 strokes. But the difference in prize money is 5 times. So we're looking at something over $10 million for the first, for whoever's in first place, and then just about $2 million for the person who's in 10th place. Now, if you look at that spectrum from 1 to 10 individuals, the difference is 1.9 strokes, which is, if you think about how many strokes there are in a game, that's hardly anything. The mistake is so minimal. Yep. Right. But this is what we talk about as far as creating those consistent habits, like Korey was saying, example with the shoes again, or with the food, right? Is if we can take these small steps within a long period of time, eventually we will continue to get closer and closer and closer. And it doesn't have to be anything, anything huge. Like a lot of people, we've seen it on our end, make these goals, especially around the new year. This is actually a really good time that we talk about it, but they end up cutting out, for example, all carbs, all sugar. They go cold turkey, boom, all at once. Yeah. Right. And what happens is it's too much of a step. It's too big of a reach for them to get to their goal, to the point that it just becomes, again, it becomes a chore and it becomes painful. But if you can enjoy the journey and enjoy the process by taking these small steps, it's going to be a little bit easier for people and for you guys to get there. that's just a really cool quote that stuck with me. I'm going to talk a little bit as well about optimizing health in itself. You know, when we look at the field, there's so many topics, there's so many studies, and you can dive so deep into certain topics that it's funny. It's some days on Wednesday, say it's a Wednesday, and I read something about sleep, and then you know, on Thursday I read something else that's the complete opposite. So it's very important for us to be doing our proper research and provide information that is truly valuable and that we can kind of refer out to. And for this purpose itself, because of the time limit, I wanted to put something together and give you guys some information that Korey as well will pitch into about simple steps that you guys can take that necessarily don't even take money. You know, one of them being, we can start things off really simple, but just the fact of sleep, right? And the fact that most people don't get the sleep that they're supposed to get. I know I was one of them. And for me, it was important, just what we were talking about earlier, to track my sleep. So I put myself in a rhythm consistently where I was getting, honestly, maybe 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, sometimes 3 hours of sleep a night, because I was so involved with working. But over a period of time, I started developing a system where I would go to bed at a specific time, or I would begin to wind myself down. And then I was able to create a long pattern, right? Or a very good pattern, to where I was slowly building what we call the circadian rhythm. And our circadian rhythm is basically our internal system, our clock system. And it says, you know, for example, essentially when we believe we're going to go to sleep, right? And when we wake up. So there's times where you guys might not realize, but you hit that alarm clock and you feel kind of groggy. It's because that's not necessarily when you were supposed to sleep, because our sleep goes within waves. And you could have been essentially in the deepest part of your sleep, right? But that alarm clock just hit you and you woke up. It's because your internal system is all out of whack. But if you can create a really good habit of going to sleep at a certain time and knowing you're getting, say, your 7 hours of sleep that you want to get, and waking up every single day, creating good habits, your system in itself begins to do that. And you wake up a lot more refreshed. You wake up ready to go, a little bit more energized, and you don't get that groggy feeling, right? So that's just a quick little step, again, that you don't really need to pay for anything. You just set yourself up and you can get to that goal. One of the things that I realize people kind of do have trouble with their sleep is, one thing that you can do is you can just add melatonin. There's a lot of stuff out there, supplements. I found personally that melatonin is probably one of the biggest ones that people use as far as relaxation and to get, you know, a little bit more sleep. So personally, I'm a big fan of that. I take about 3 milligrams, and we'll be linking you guys to a few things so you can see them. But that's a big one. We have hydration as well, super important. I'll show you guys. It's actually funny. I have my own water bottle, and it's an accountability water bottle. So it has all the times starting from 7 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. because that's how I work as far as a system. So if I'm able to see, hey, it's 5 p.m., but my water is showing me 9 a.m., I know I'm in trouble. I know I haven't been doing my dues of drinking my water, right? So that's, again, systematically how I work, you know? But if you can get in the idea of doing certain things like this with whatever we were saying, whether it's runs, whether it's your physical health, your mental health, spiritual health, these are just little things that you can do every single day to kind of compound and get to where you want to be. I'm going to stop really quick right there. Maybe Korey has something to add, and then I'll get into the second part of what I wanted to speak about.
Yeah, just not much to add to that. That's absolutely phenomenal. It would be just to talk about some of the side effects of not having proper sleep, how that affects like your hormonal system, with then in turns your hunger hormone or your stress hormones, and how that puts your body in a heightened state where your body starts to degenerate. So it's not just about not waking up feeling energetic. Under the surface of that, there's so many other disadvantageous side effects that come from not having sleep. And it's all a snowball effect. You have one thing that's off, whether it is your nutrition, your activity level, or your recovery, which is predicated on your sleep, it then bleeds into everything and it wreaks havoc. So you find that most persons don't have enough energy to work out because they didn't sleep right. They get hungry and they can't manage their appetite because now their hunger hormone is off because they're not resting well enough. So their body is telling them that, hey, you need to eat to supply me with energy that I'm not getting from a recovery process such as sleeping. So it's all main pillars. The main pillars are movement, nutrition, and recovery. And I would add a third part, which is like a mental health, which is really just your perspective on the process. The perspective of saying, yes, we have big goals, but we're going to take small steps there, and we're not going to be too hard on ourselves. We're not perfect. And whenever we fall down, we get up, brush ourselves off, and we know that it's a long game.
Amazing. Amazing. 100%. And that's one of the things that I've honestly personally seen working with a lot of professional athletes too, is for them, their performance per se is obviously being on the field or on the court, right? As far as certain people, specifically you guys, for example, where your performance level is different, this still plays hand in hand because you still need to be sharp. And you might be under a little bit more stress than usual, regardless of it being against maybe head on going against another professional athlete, but you have things that you need to get done within a certain time period. So being, again, as prepared and primed as possible for whatever the task is at hand is all the things that we're trying to kind of help you build as far as habits. And lastly, we were talking about a little bit about training, but training, this is the one that my sports psychologist said to me and it stuck with me too, is sweat before screens. And what that means is go train before you get on your phone. Because what happens is the phone has become such a huge distraction. And now it's funny that we have so many apps and we can essentially do anything from our phones, regardless of where we really are at or what we need. So what happens is, I mean, I know for myself, I've been on social media at times and I've lost track of time to where it's been 30 minutes thinking it's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And it happens even with TV and stuff. So for her idea was if you can get your training session in before you even look at the screen, before you get involved with the emails, before you see what the tasks are at hand for that day, number one, you're going to feel a lot more accomplished once you're done with the workout, right? And again, it doesn't have to be anything strenuous. When I talk about workouts to people, the average time is about 60 minutes. Think about that 60 minutes as you're taking about a 10-minute warm up and a 10-minute cool down. So you're really looking at about 40 minutes of you just having to do something physical. And this is just the average. Your body isn't necessarily asking and demanding that you exercise 60 minutes a day, every day. It just wants some sort of movement and physical activity within the day. Some people enjoy doing yoga. Some people like going for a walk. Some like cycling. It's honestly just what you can do to kind of better yourself every day a little bit more because of all the benefits that exercise is going to bring, as far as hormonally getting your energy levels going, and just preparing you and priming you for the rest of the day. I mean, there's just so many benefits, right? And one thing at the end of my sessions, which I do with all of my clients, regardless of them giving me mean eyes, is we got to stretch. 100% we got to stretch, because what happens is within the field too, is we see a lot, you see this a little bit more within the bodybuilding community, and it's nothing knocking on them, but everything that we do as far as exercise is about contracting the muscle. You think about a bicep curl, and what happens is the muscle fibers come within each other. So you're constantly contracting, but we never think about lengthening the muscle. So if you think about stress and lots of demands of stress and everything going on in the world, say you're driving, you get beeped on, everything is just stress and tight. But if we can learn to let go and expand, right, your body just begins to fluctuate a little bit better. So when it comes to our muscles like that, right, constantly just contracting creates for you to be really tight. And in the long run, it's actually not healthy for your body, right? So you can begin to create, you get a bunch of nasty things that come up on your body, and that's obviously not what we want. So stretching, again, we're not asking or saying that, you have to be doing an hour of stretching. There's people who love an hour of stretching, but for me, I find myself getting my workout and doing 5 minutes of stretching is enough for me, right? To not be sore the next day and be ready to go again the next day. Because then also one of those things is you end up being sore and you maybe not want to do anything, but that's where the mental side of things, which is that last pillar, comes in, for you to really kind of get going with your day and such. So those are three or so key elements that we're talking about. Get your sleep down right a little bit better, drink your water, maybe your accountability water, and your and you get your sweat before screens. Huge. Yeah. Sweat before screens.
Yeah. Incredible. Phenomenal with that, Richie. And I've seen you definitely preaching that, and I've seen you getting some mean eyes, but you still reinforce it every time because you mean well by people. I think I'll just put a bow on it, just a mindset, perspective, summation of my key points, some of yours mixed in as well. And if we can take away anything from what we've said, and you probably have some last thoughts because I know we're short on time, my last thought to wrap things up would be, let's get a goal, and let's make that goal meaningful to you. Sometimes persons have a goal, but it's not necessarily a goal that's meaningful to them. A good way I've found to think about a goal outside of just a standard way of thinking, I want to look better, I want to feel better. I want to think about what happens if I don't do this, What's the fear and negative side effects of me not taking the step to take care of my health and wellness that could result in me developing a debilitating, life-threatening disease? Or it could be me not being the kind of man that I need to be, you know, in my household, having this sort of energy for the responsibilities that I bear. It could be me not saying I respect myself enough to take care of myself and all the disadvantages that come with that, and the detrimental side. And I also look at it too from the plus. If I have more energy and I say that I want to serve people and I want to show up in my community, I want to show up in my home, and I want to do these impactful things, and I want to live a long, healthy life, then these are the things that I need to do that I actually get to do. I have the ability to do, and it's a privilege for me to then do it. And some way a vibe is grown out of me looking at it from those two spectrums. So that is on identifying a why. That's a good way for you to identify why. The second is be honest with yourself. If we have a goal that we haven't met, it means that most times we're not the person that we need to be yet to get it done. So we need to have some sense of humility as we progress towards our goal. So we can start small. Big goals, start small. Don't do what most people do at New Year's. Set this massive goal, burn out by January 2nd, say they'll never do it, make one the next year, because they've had high ambitions without humility. So it needs to be buttressed. Say, hey, listen, I still do it. Whenever I'm taking on a new task in fitness, I start small because I know it's a compounding, like Richie perfectly said, that 1.9 stroke compounded over time. It's a long game. And turtles win races too. Some persons just want to be out the block quick, but they don't make it to the end. So we want to make it. We don't want to pull up in the middle of the race. We want to make it across the finish line. So that start small. And the next one, I would say, have routines and systems. Know what works for you. What works for your friend may not work for you. Don't let your friend, don't let the media, don't let social media, don't let hype or fad talk you into something that you know that doesn't work for you. Find what works for you and honor that. And the last would be, you will mess it up. No one goes on this journey and get it right all the time, but you don't need to get it right all the time to live a healthy, fulfilled, energetic, robust life where you're honoring your health and fitness. You just need to be consistent. When you fail, it's not final. Brush yourself off and keep going. And know that you're doing it because you care about your health. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, my man. Yep. Listen, you finished it perfectly. I'm just very grateful for the opportunity, and I hope you guys were able to take something out of it. Even, you know, the littlest bit. Just one of Korey's best lines is 1% better every day. And if you just take one thing from today and you start applying that starting tonight or tomorrow morning, first thing, you're already 1% better.
Exactly.
So if you can just do that every single day, you're just going to get better and better in your life and serve the people that you want to serve, and love your family a little bit more and be there for the people that you want to be there for. So thank you so much, President Nakip, for the opportunity. Korey, thank you for the invite. And I wish you all an amazing new year. Go crush those goals, go set those routines, and let's get after it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, bro, for having me here. It's a privilege to be here with you guys.
Awesome. All right, so we're not done yet. Of course, we know this is a section where everyone gets to kind of get in that really burning question about what can they do and what have they been doing and the do's and don'ts. These guys are phenomenal. They're very well schooled in terms of what they're doing and what they're saying in terms of they're real experts. Celebrities, they don't want to, they're humble. That's why they don't want to say who. The movers and shakers, trust me, these people are the engine behind them. But I'll allow for our Rotarians and guests to ask the relevant questions that they want to be answered. So go ahead, guys. Just raise your hands.
Yeah. We'd love that. Looking forward to interacting.
Don, I want to hear about your long game.
I was just thinking that everything that Ricky and Korey have said, I've been practicing for 45 years.
Wow.
Awesome.
And I saw you, Don, and you look amazing.
I don't.
Amazing.
I think you're just bullshitting me.
No, everyone here agrees. That everyone in your life agrees. It's so obvious.
Here's Kamika coming in. Kamika, you're not You haven't unmuted. Anyway, just to support. Yeah, just to support what
See you, Bobby.
Just to support what Ricky and Korey have been saying. I started playing squash at the age of 17. And I would play squash twice or 3 times a week for some 45 years. And then about 5 years before I stopped playing squash, I decided that I needed to take up golf because there would come a time when my knees would give out and I couldn't continue playing squash. So I moved to golf, and I now do golf twice a week. And in between, I go to the gym once or twice a week. And water drinking and 8 hours of sleep per night, it all makes a difference. So I endorse, I can relate to everything you said. And I know that 1 or 2 of my fellow Northerners are in need of discipline. Isn't that right, past presidents? I see 2 of them on the screen. They know themselves.
Can I say I feel attacked? I don't appreciate all these personal attacks. I know my mother must have called somebody, and that's what this is all about.
It's an intervention, Kamika.
Oh, I trust me, it clearly feels that way. I know I joined very late, but I mean, trust me when I tell you, I'm here close to tears thinking about how right these gentlemen are and how fluently, how every single thing they said made sense. And you know, I try, I drink my water, that's about it. But I've realized that the challenge is sleeping. Everything for me starts from not getting adequate rest. And I wonder whether as Rotarians, we can't, this is not really for the presenters, just throwing out a suggestion that we do some kind of program to keep each other honest. Presenters, maybe you can tell me if there is a downside to wanting company. I've listened to you and I thought to myself, yes, the why is that I want to be around for my kids for the long haul. But boy, the discipline to do something consistently without company, I just can't seem to find that discipline. Is there value in doing it in a group? And if there is value in that, perhaps we as a club can look at how we can do some kind of fitness program to kind of help each other keep honest where that's concerned. That's my contribution, as I'm just leaving home to go home and leaving work to go home and not sleep until 2 o'clock. Anyway.
President Nakia, I actually have a gym group at the Ligani Club. But so if you want somebody to jump around with, we're there every Tuesday. but it's at lunchtime because we're retired. So that's a problem.
Yep,
Yes.
All right, I'm signing off now.
Yes.
You see,
PP, Bobby.
yeah, you see, thanks for your presentation, Korey and Ricky.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Of course, I can attest to the fact that I've been a Spartan man from I was 17 that Don is talking about. I've been at Spartan in my younger days, and I used to look as good as Korey, but unfortunately over time, you know, age is a factor in all of this sort of thing.
I saw it. That didn't miss me.
Yes, that's when I used to be at Spartan. No, and of course I played cricket to a pretty good to Jamaica level. So, you know, I've been on the cricket field for years and all that sort of thing. So I know I cannot attest to the fact that this thing is very important. Sleep, taking exercise, eating right, and all that sort of thing. And of course, in the case of Kamika, with our young kids, it's the demand on her time is of such that I can understand that she's going to find it difficult to get into a rhythm or a routine for her physical attainment. You see, probably what she has to share it with her husband too. You know, half the week is his and half the week is hers, some sort of way like that, for her to really spend some time in achieving the objective that she wants. But it is a discipline thing. You have to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, boy, you're going to run wreck. You're going to break down before you know it. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate the
Really
presentation.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Fair point.
So Ricky and Korey, having heard PP Kamika speak about sleep, I have seen a number of instances in which people believe they're sleeping, but they're not sleeping because they'll go to bed at 10 and they don't get into REM sleep because they have some breathing problem. And although they think they're sleeping, they're actually waking up 10, 15, 20 times just for 5 seconds each time.
You're seeing that while you're at home. Careful now, Don.
No, I've actually been through that experience. And there are people out there who cannot understand why they feel tired in the morning, having had 8 hours of sleep. And it's because they're not sleeping properly.
Yes,
They have sleep apnea, or they have some kind of sleep disorder. And so sometimes it's if you have concerns, speak to your medical practitioner, because there are tests that can be done to ensure that, you know, if there's a need for corrective measures, whether it's medication or a CPAP or surgery, which I had, which you all know, then there are ways to correct any deficiencies. If you're working too hard, PP Kamika, as Bobby says, give the babies to the husband so you can come to the gym with us at lunchtime.
I know what to say to them. The lady lose her
Pierre Pond.
Hi, good evening, Korey and Richie. My question, as it relates to the entire presentation, for me, when it comes on to working out and getting things done, I definitely don't have the discipline, but from time to time I get going at the gym. Now, for me, what I hate is the burn that comes after everything else and how I recover from it. Sometimes they say take it slow, I take it slow, and you build into it and so on. But then when that whole muscle pain and burn, and people say, enjoy the burn, love the burn. Sorry, it's not that wonderful. And days after it becomes, as days progress, you get even more sore. That's something that when I go to the gym the next day, I'm really not trying to reach to that level again. What is there that you can take to help with the burn other than rubbing yourself with Voltaren or something? PAG, Bobby, I see you laughing, but
they must leave the Voltaren to me now. You're a youngster.
You want us to split it down the middle, Ricky? Because I think you and I have a slightly different approach in terms of how we view things, even though we have the same truth.
I can start with one of the reason most people are sore after their workout is, and I read this from the strength and conditioning trainer of these professional mixed martial artists, and he's a big philosopher. He's big on philosophy, but he was saying how, you know, when you take that big jump and you go really hard, because what happens is sometimes we end up getting very motivated. We watch maybe a motivational video or a podcast or anything.
Or Richie comes in and give a talk.
I come give a talk, right? But what happens is you get excited, and you know you go hard, like you go 100%. What happens is, you know, your body hasn't adjusted to this. You're good. Your body hasn't been in the idea of consistently doing this method throughout a period of time. So when you go hard, it's almost your body's defense saying, whoa, what is going on? Inflammation, which to an extent is good because that's how you generate muscle. But when you have that inflammation and you don't do anything about it, that's why it becomes so painful. And your threshold to how much you're exercising, you've exceeded that. So that's why you're in pain. But if you're able to slowly kind of ramp things up in your training, right, day by day, like again, you could start with a walk. Start with a walk, start with a little bit of yoga or do a few curls, but nothing crazy. And once you do a little bit more and you go over a period of time, you are going to get that burn, but it's not going to be as bad as when you go all out in your first day. And as far as taking supplements or anything, I like to say the best supplements are the ones we get for free. Sleep a little bit more, drink a little bit more water. You can roll yourself out. You can get, I know some people like to use CBD oil and they'll put it on their legs and they'll kind of rub it out like that. If that maybe helps for some people it works. For me personally, it doesn't. But if you can just think about like the things that we talked about, making your nutrition a little bit better, drinking a little bit more water to flush out that lactic threshold, and maybe even moving a little bit more the next day to the point where it's not painful. Those are the things that are going to, at least on my end that I've seen work for the most part, besides giving any sort of supplements or injections or anything like that.
And if just to tag on and to dovetail a little bit from what Richie said, I take a little different approach. Richie is the strength and conditioning. His science is unmatched. So he'll go into everything, the chemistry and the hormone and the recovery of that. I take a more mindset approach in terms of how the narrative you have around it. So whether we take it slow or we jump in head first, they're going to come to a point where this will be an issue for you. Mm-hmm. Because just the process of us getting better, it requires that breakdown process. Few things with switching the narrative and how you see it, and when we see it differently, we experience it subjectively different, even if the objective nature of the pain is the same. So no pain, no gain, you can scrap that. That doesn't motivate you. That's what motivates most people. Find something else. Your definition for why you will subject yourself to that needs to be something that is greater than the discomfort that's associated with working out. So if say tomorrow someone held you at gunpoint, and I'm using a very absurd example just to drive home a point, and they say, listen, Wilson, if you don't work out every single day, no matter how painful this is, I'm killing you and everyone in your family. No matter how painful it is, Wilson is going to the gym, smiling and no complaints every single day. He's like, because you now have a circumstance in your life that is no greater than the discomfort. So you now have to get into the mental minefield of things and say, okay, cool. Is it that I want to say to myself, I'm a young professional? Am I going to let something as a discomfort stop me from progressing? How am I going to say, if I can do this, then I can show up on my job, I can show up in other spaces. If I overcome this, I can overcome other things. And you start redefining it, and now it's no longer this pain that you're not so enthused about going through. It's something so much bigger that allows you to suffer through it. It's just like a Usain Bolt. Dude didn't like training, but he had a goal that was so much bigger than him throwing up on the track. So he went to Spartan, he worked out, hates training, everyone knows it, but still did it because he had a why that was greater than the process. So find out what that is for you. And when you get that, the pain now becomes a signal of you becoming and progressing towards what's most meaningful for you.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. So which approach are you taking, Pierre?
I need to find my motivation.
All right, awesome. So I have time for one final question or comment.
If I may.
Go ahead, Dharma.
Okay. Clearly, from the discussion that has taken place, I joined late, but clearly sleep is good. But how would you differentiate between sleeping and resting?
Okay. Richie, let me set you up for this one. You're going to take this home. I'm going to put Richie on the bus. So Richie has been mastering sleeping. He has a sleep psychologist. He's getting ready for his season. Richie and I work at the apex of the industry, and it's a grind. It's an absolute grind. Richie would be up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and he is an entrepreneur. He is a semi-pro football player. He is one of the top producing trainers at the gym. That means that per day, he's clocking anywhere between 7 to 8 hours of one-on-one training. He just completed his finals for some statistic course. He's graduating college. He has a girlfriend who is very involved. We are business partners. That takes hours out. When he calculates his day that he has left as leisure time, he has about two to 3 hours. The dude is 25 years old. He has a lot going on his plate. Richie has managed with a schedule like that and commitments like that, not only to be an A student, a top producing trainer, a semi-pro, but he's prioritized sleep, and his 7 to 8 hours is a non-negotiable. Richie, how do you do it?
Thank you, my brother. So one of the things when I got together with my sports psychologist, she had seen my schedule. And for me, I knew I always had to sleep, but like he said, I just never made it a priority. For me, it was always work, and I always, regardless of what I got done in the day, I always knew I could do a little bit more and a little bit more. So I would go to bed late and all these things. But she looked at my schedule, said, I need you to put down on paper and show me everything that you do within the day, everything you're involved in, because we need to start picking out priorities. And I put all my work stuff on this piece of paper, and she goes, well, where's your sleep? And I said, well, whenever I'm done, I go to sleep. She's like, no. She's like, your health is a priority. And if you want to perform at the highest level, because you feel like you're not, that's why you're contacting me, then you need to prioritize your sleep, which is going to be essentially part of your performance. And I said, oh, interesting. Okay. Like, I believe you. Let's get right on it. And so what happened was, after I set that non-negotiable time, she said, I need you to get at least 7 hours. You can't do anything less than 7 hours or you're going to be in trouble. And I said, deal. And once someone tells me, when I believe in that person and they tell me how things should be, I'm the type of person who will listen. And when I see greater value, I will do as told. And I said, this is a non-negotiable. I got my little tracker on my wrist, so it reads every little bit from when I go to sleep to when I wake up. And I've set myself in that time frame, in that time period where I can go over it as much as I want, but I cannot do less of it. And when I do go over, right, it's good. It makes me feel okay. I've managed to learn that. But what I've also said throughout the day is, this is something that I got from another entrepreneur as well, but we have essentially these 24 hours in a day, and I'm breaking down 7 to sleep. I'm left with, we're looking at, what is that? It's 17, right? 17. From that 17, right, I got to break down what would be a next, say 6 to 8 hours of work. I'm left with a little bit of cushion in there. In that little bit of cushion, I got a little bit less where I can do maybe some errands, where I got to spend time with my girlfriend, where I need to get into these business talks or spend time like I am right now, for a greater purpose. And then you have to leave a little gap. And it can be spaced out throughout the day, and it can be broken down. But that's time that I've realized is for my own health in respect to rest. And that means I'm doing what makes me happy in that moment. For my girlfriend, for example, it's watching TV. For me, it could be listening to a podcast, going on a walk, but it's time that you've dedicated to yourself to rest mentally from all the chaos and stuff that we have going on in our day, all the chaotic stuff. So that's personally how it worked out for me. And even like Korey said, with so many things on my plate, I was able to just put little tabs within the day and say, this time is respectful to my work. This time is respectful to my sleep. This time is respectful on my calendar for my to-dos. And this time is respected time for my own mental health and my own rest that I need. So that's kind of like aside from the whole sciencey background, but I wanted to bring in at least like the mental side of things and why for me it was so important to get my sleep and your time and rest. So,
and you're gonna have to. We just always have to cut things. You know, we have to make sure that we're living our life in alignment with our values and our priorities. So sometimes that extra 30 minutes on Instagram, sometimes that happy hour, sometimes that talk with that results in nothing. It's about like slashing time so we create space. Just like cleaning up a house, you get rid of things because you have limited space in the day. We can create more. So the smartest way to go is, what am I going to remove from this finite cup so I leave more space for what's most important? And what starts happening, you start doing more,
yes,
even though you thought you wouldn't, because now you're better, so you're more efficient. So you start showing up where you were and executing. I got this from Nakia, so thank you so much. You know, he does such a phenomenal job at being where he's at and spending time with that and treating that well. And it's the same principle that you're doing, where you're just saying, I'm doing 5 things and everything else is a no.
Yep.
And that doesn't have to be forever, but it needs to be for a time if we're serious about our values and goals.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much, guys.
Wow, I'm somewhat left wanting more, and I think I'm not the one who's going to do the vote of thanks, but I'm actually looking forward to a part 2. You know, I don't think these guys got really into everything that they really wanted to share with us. So I'm putting them on the spot. We're going to come back for you guys at some point, and we're going to finish this conversation. And definitely there are more persons who weren't able to get onto this meeting merely because they're still not returned from their vacation. So I'm looking forward to having you guys at some point again. So congrats, good stuff. I'll now invite our president-elect, Kesia, to do the honors.
Thank you, President Nakio. Korey and Ricky, phenomenal presentation. You started off by saying that what you were going to present was not novel. Actually wasn't, but the whole idea of keeping yourself as a priority, especially in this pandemic. You know, we're in a lot of Zoom meetings today. It really consumes you, working from home, etc. Time just seems to have gotten shorter the last 9 months. I found it incredible that you went through the fact that setting goals don't mean big goals, don't mean biting off big chunks of things that are not realistic for you to achieve. The importance of sleep, water, you know, staying away from the digital gadgets that keep us all busy and consume our time when we could be exercising. I personally am a proponent of everything that you presented tonight, and our club is really honored to have you both present. President Nakia, you have a gem in your family. I hope you're on your toes, doing all that he has presented, and Richie, he sounds also quite phenomenal with all the things that he did. So on behalf of our club, we really want to thank you for being here tonight to present to us, and we look forward to part 2. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks for the open invite.
Thank you, everyone, very much. Very grateful.
Awesome. So we're pretty much at the end, and we normally do a toast. PE, you know what that means. Our VP is somewhat on his rooftop. I forever say that he's on his rooftop because he told me he's been on his rooftop for a while fixing. So PE, take it away.
Yeah, and just a declaration here, a disclaimer, this is water, like agua, like, okay? So, President Nakia, fellow Rotarians and guests, join me in a toast to the Rotary Club of Portmore.
Portmore, and all right.
Portmore and all right.
Thanks for coming, Dermo.
Thank you, guys.
Toast to you.
That's what I
So the takeaway is, come on, guys, we can do this. And as I say, it's never too late to start. I know Don been 45 years in terms of he's been 45 years ahead of me. But Don, the race is on, brother. It's about the turtle right now. You know, I'm coming for you. So thanks for coming, guys. And we usually close with our national anthem. So please join me. Bow your hearts as we sing our national anthem. Okay, guys, have a wonderful 8 hours of rest. And of course, ensure that you hydrate before you get to bed. And if you're definitely able, how much is that, Bobby? I'm not hearing you. You're saying 7. All right, 7 to 8. We can live with that. But definitely not the 4 and the 3 hours that PP Kamika been putting in at nights. So I give you, what time is it? 8 o'clock. So I give you a whole time now to go and figure it out. So all the best. Thanks for coming, guys. It was awesome. Looking forward to having you guys back again. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Night.
Take care. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, guys.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Happy New Year, all. Miss you over Christmas.
Yes,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Take care. Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Night, President.